All right, welcome to the Explainer. Today we're diving into a really powerful idea. Can we actually starve cancer with the food that we eat? We're going to look at the science behind how certain foods can help create an environment in our bodies where cancer just, well, it can't thrive. So let's just get this out of the way right up front. It's the question we've all asked, right? Is there one magic bullet? You know, that single superfood we can just eat every day and it'll solve everything? It's a really tempting idea, but the reality is so much more strategic. And honestly, it's a lot more powerful. So first things first, we've got to get past this whole pill mentality. This idea that just one food can act like a magic cure for a disease as complex as cancer. Look, the real power here isn't about just eating more blueberries or adding more turmeric. It's about understanding how a whole combination of foods can work together to systematically cut off cancer's lifelines. We're talking about a cohesive strategy, not just one single ingredient. So instead of searching for that single magic bullet, we're going to use a roadmap that targets cancer's 7 key vulnerabilities, using nutrition as our weapon. And here they are. These are the weak points. Cancer absolutely depends on glucose. It thrives when there's chronic inflammation. It's triggered by carcinogens, and it takes advantage of a weak immune system, hormone imbalances, oxidative stress, and, you guessed it, poor gut health. This right here, this is our strategic framework. Now that we've identified the enemy's weaknesses, we can start building our nutritional toolkit. Let's look at the specific foods that can counter each and every one of them. Okay, this first one is probably the most critical weakness of all, the Warburg Effect. Basically, it describes cancer's #1 addiction. It has an insane appetite for glucose, or sugar, which it uses as rocket fuel for its explosive growth. And here's where you can really see the difference. Our healthy cells, they're metabolically flexible. They love using oxygen to efficiently burn both fat and glucose for clean, steady energy. But cancer cells, they go rogue. They get hooked on this fast, messy, sugar-burning process that doesn't even need oxygen. And that's what lets them multiply so incredibly fast. So how do we exploit this weakness? It's simple, really. We cut off its main fuel supply. This toolkit is all about a low-carb approach. We're talking healthy fats, clean proteins, and fiber-rich veggies. These foods just don't provide that easy sugar that cancer loves, which basically forces your body to switch over to a much cleaner fuel source. Okay, next up, we can actually tackle 2 problems at the exact same time with foods that pull double duty. They act like a fire extinguisher for chronic inflammation, which is a huge driver of cancer growth, while also supporting the liver, which is our body's master detoxification organ. And the tools for this job are really powerful. I mean, you've got turmeric, ginger, and the omega-3s in fatty fish. They're famous for calming inflammation. At the same time, broccoli gives us sulforaphane, a compound that revs up the liver's detox pathways. And the choline in eggs, that's a vital nutrient for liver health, helping it process and get rid of all kinds of harmful compounds. Our next 2 targets are really deeply connected. We want to strengthen our immune system. You can think of it as our body's natural surveillance team for rogue cells. And at the same time, stabilize key hormones that can otherwise act like pouring fuel on a fire for certain kinds of cancers. So for this, certain mushrooms contain something called beta-glucans, which are known to activate our immune cells. Bell peppers are amazing because they deliver a huge dose of vitamin C without all the sugar you'd find in many fruits. And look, broccoli makes another appearance with indole 3-carbinol, a compound that helps the body balance estrogen. And of course, healthy fats are crucial here for regulating insulin, a key growth signaling hormone. Now let's talk about oxidative stress. The easiest way to think about this is like a kind of cellular rust. It's caused by these unstable molecules called free radicals. And you know what? The best defense isn't some synthetic pill. It's a diet that's rich in natural antioxidants from real whole foods. And this right here, this highlights why the source of our nutrients is so incredibly critical. Research is pretty clear that while antioxidants from whole foods are protective, taking high-dose synthetic versions can actually be harmful. It's a really important distinction to make. So where do we get the good stuff? From these powerhouses right here. Things like green tea, berries, pomegranate, and even high-quality dark chocolate are just loaded with natural compounds that can safely protect your cells from that cellular rust. All right, our final toolkit targets the very foundation of our health, the gut. A thriving gut microbiome is absolutely central to everything. It trains our immune system, it helps regulate our hormones, and it builds our overall resilience against disease. You know, building a healthy gut is really a two-step process. First, probiotic foods like sauerkraut and kimchi introduce all those beneficial bacteria into your system. But then you've got to feed them, and that's where prebiotic foods like the fiber in asparagus and garlic come in. They act as the food source for those good bacteria, helping them set up a strong and healthy colony. So, we've just spent all this time building this amazing 7-part toolkit to defend our bodies. But there is a common enemy, and it's found in almost every single pantry that can undermine all of these efforts at once. Processed foods, they are the ultimate saboteur. They directly attack all 7 of our strategic points. They fuel cancer with sugar and white flour, hitting weakness number 1. They introduce chemicals that burden the liver, hitting weakness number 3. They damage the gut and compromise immunity, hitting weaknesses 7 and 4. I mean, it is a systematic assault on our body's defenses. So what's the goal here? Aim for this. 90%. Making 90% of your diet real, whole, unprocessed food is probably the single most powerful step you can take toward building a truly resilient body. So, after all of this complexity, the 7 mechanisms, all the different toolkits, what is the simple, actionable takeaway? Well, it all boils down to one incredibly powerful, easy-to-remember rule. And here it is. Just forget about counting every last calorie or trying to memorize every single compound. The simple rule is this: learn the difference between what came from nature and what came from a factory, and then just choose the real food. So I'm going to leave you with this final thought. This isn't about perfection, right? It's about progress. So take a look in your pantry or your fridge. What is just one processed item that you can swap out for a real food alternative this week? Because that right there, that's where the change begins.